Hari Om. I welcome you all for this study of this book, Vedanta Treatise. I'm happy for two reasons. One, to see that so many of you are still interested to study the subject Vedanta, such a dry subject. And also, it gives me an opportunity to revisit the book again. It's a book I would have read I don't know how many times in my life. Still, there is so much to explore. Still, there is so much to understand. It's so inspiring to see that. So now coming to the text, the subject Vedanta. Now, what is the subject Vedanta? And why we should study the subject now? What is the relevance? What is it? What Vedanta has to offer to every one of us in our life? First, we'll touch upon these ideas, and then comes the qualification to study the subject Vedanta. Now, any subject you have to pursue demands certain things out of the student who is pursuing that, who is interested to learn that subject. So similarly, the subject Vedanta also demands certain qualifications, and there is a procedure for that to study. So if we can cover these aspects in today's class, I think we would have done enough for the day. And first question people have been asking me, many have asked, that some of you might be having it in your mind, that sir, you are saying that we'll study Vedanta class, and you had mentioned it as every Tuesday and Thursday. How long? That is one question everybody have been asking me. So many had asked. Some of you might be having that question in the mind and not raised that issue. Now, my answer is, it's like asking a student in how many days I can master mathematics, in how many days I can master economics. Now, in how many sessions you can teach me economics, if you ask, or mathematics. Now, we can't answer that, you see. But however, I can't tell you people that you have to commit for the study of Vedanta for the rest of your life. It's also not possible. There are some basic things requested here. As people who are matured enough to pursue this subject, demand certain things out of yourself. It's nothing to do with me, please. It is more you have that in you, more a chance for you to learn. That's all. More the benefit will be. So if you ask this question, more or less I can say the book has got 3 sections, and I can assure that we should be able to cover those 2 sections, section 1 and section 2, by February 2021. Section 3, I would decide at that stage how we are going to do, how I am going to do it. Because remember, the first section of the book is like a chicken flying. In section 2 is like pigeon flying. Section 3 is like eagle soaring beyond the clouds. So that's how the subject grows in the book. So when it comes to third section, the essence of Vedanta is the real kernel of philosophy. Very, very terse, high flown philosophy, that is. The assumption is you people should have been prepared by then with the classes. But however, I take a call only at that time. So I can't guarantee that I will do part C now, the third section. But first 2 sections, I can assure you that we should be able to cover by February. Now, in this, as I did mention, the book has got 3 sections. The first section is known as Introduction to Vedanta. Second section, Application of Vedanta. Third section, Essence of Vedanta. So the 3 sections. Introductory section prepares you. Application of Vedanta gives you what you can do. Section 3 explains the principles. What are the essential principles of Vedanta? This is the progression of the ideas, the 3 sections of the book. Then coming to this question of what is the relevance of the subject in my life. Now, why are you asking me to study Vedanta now? For what, sir? Now, we do see in the world that people go for 2 things at the physical level. At the physical plane, there are 2 aspects are there. One is a gymnasium, another one is a hospital. Whenever you have a physical illness, you go to hospital. Cure that illness, come back. This is one dimension. Another dimension is when you are more or less healthy and you want to enhance your health, you want to make yourself more fit, more strong, more flexible, then to build your stamina and strength, you go to gymnasium and exercise. Of course, I'm including all this, any sort of exercises, whether it is this aerobics or it is yoga or it is this one, gym, all that. You go here for one purpose, you go to hospital for another purpose. Now, Vedanta is a one-stop shop where it works depending upon what you come with. If you come with illness, Vedanta takes the form of a hospital, a doctor, physician, healer. If you come with more or less fit, Vedanta would become a fitness trainer, would demand more out of you. Now you would say, I can do only 7 push-ups. Your fitness trainer will not say 7, he will say 15. Somehow you will push and come to 12. He'll say, 1 more you do, that's all. 3 more is there, just do it. And you collapse. Like, when I used to go, I tell them, see, I can do 50% of what you're saying. I can go down, I can't come up. You decide, Fitness. Now, Vedanta works both ways, depending upon the student. That's the beauty of the subject here. It works as a physician come trainer, fitness trainer, depending upon your scenario. So if you come to Vedanta with illness, that illness can be emotional, that illness can be intellectual, that illness can be spiritual, whatever it is, then Vedanta works as a consoler. It pacifies, it applies balm, and there's nothing that soothes a man's pain like that of knowledge. It gives a tremendous soothing effect. You can use it like that. Suppose if you say, no, I don't have any problem, man, in my life, but I want to make my life better. I don't want to live life like what I have been living. Now, my tomorrow should not be just a replica of my yesterday. I don't want to live life like an imposition, which most of us keep living, mechanically, keep writing. I will not talk in the class. I will not talk in the class. I will not talk in the class. That's the imposition we have written. It's the same thing that is happening in life also. What is your life? What is today? In what way today of yours is different from yesterday? What way your responses to the world, your reactions to the situations that had happened inside you is anyway different from yesterday? No, I don't want to live like this. I wanted to have a breakthrough in my life. I wanted to experience a breakthrough, man. I just need an opportunity. I just have to slip in, like how this man did. I say, when Dilip Doshi, the leg spinner, is a very good leg spinner. He had a problem. I think some ligament tear or something. He had. Because of that, there was a slot for a spinner, for a bowler, leg spinner. At that time, we were not finding anyone. At that time, Sunil Gavaskar, using all his power of influence, he brought Ravi Shastri. When Ravi Shastri came into the team, he walked into the team only as a replacement for Dilip Doshi. Just he's supposed to bowl. That's all. He just bowl and get out. That's it. But when this man came in, he realized he is not as good a leg spinner like of Dilip Doshi. But Dilip Doshi had a great weakness. He cannot bat. He said, let me develop that. But Ravi Shastri was not a batsman when he came in. I think he's the only batsman in Indian team who has played in all 11. He came in as a 11th batsman, and then he came. A point came where he became the opener. How he is able to grow through that, sir. You get an opportunity, you should know how to have the breakthrough. Now, I want to have breakthroughs in my life. I don't want to continue my life the way I am just living. That's what Shankara says in Bhajagovindam. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. Again birth, again death. Repeating the same thing. Don't you get bored? Imagine, I love idlis. Every day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, your wife keeps serving idli. Stating what? You only like it. No. Say, how much ever you love idlis, you cannot eat same idli every day in and day out. Not possible. You get bored. Same way, don't you get bored with your way of life? When that fellow comes to Vedanta takes a different turn. Suddenly, Vedanta becomes a trainer, fitness trainer. And there is a difference between a fitness trainer and a physician. When you tell a physician it's painful, physician will immediately say, oh, no, you should not get that pain. If it pains, don't do. This is a physician. Trainer will say exact opposite. If it pains, doesn't matter. It will pain like that only. Keep doing. Exact opposite. So Vedanta's role is not dependent on Vedanta alone. Remember, it depends on how you are going to approach. The role of mathematics will not change with any one of us. It is going to stand independent of us. The role of science is independent of scientist. Science is different. Scientist is different. There is a difference. They are not the same. You can be a professor of logic, still live life illogically. You can be teaching ethics. That doesn't mean you have to be ethical. It's not expected. The painter need not be beautiful. The painting has to be beautiful. That's all. Painter need not be beautiful. Right? Psychologist is not insulated from depression. That knowledge of psychology doesn't insulate the psychiatrist from getting into depression. Even the father of psychology had psychological issues. Sigmund Freud. He had problems. Carl Jung had issues. William James had issues. Adler has issues. Now name every one of them. All of them had issues. It doesn't insulate it, that knowledge did not insulate those people. Whereas you come to Vedanta, it is totally different here. In this subject, there is no distinction between the pursuer, the knower, and the subject. The philosopher and philosophy distinction cannot exist in the realm of philosophy. That is what Radhakrishnan says. You are venturing into a subject which demands an utmost discipline. You get in, you come out either as a Mahatma or as a madman. There's only two options, he says, when it comes to the pursuit of Vedanta. Beautiful statement of Radhakrishnan. You pursue Vedanta. Now, this is not a motivating session for you people, maybe. Most of you are coming out new. You may be thinking, what is this here? The first class itself, you say like this. Oh, I am not a motivator, please. You see, there is no mediocre here. Remember. Now, in the pursuit of medicine, there are great doctors and there are qualified compounders. There are two types. Similarly, in the pursuit of engineering, you have extraordinary engineers and mediocre engineers. And you pursuit of law, there are great lawyers like Palkiwala and others, extraordinary caliber. And there are lawyers bench coat who are only good for document writing. That's about it. They can't do anything more than that. That's possible. But in Vedanta, this mediocrity, not possible. Either you become a master or you become a madman. And that's what is scary to me. Not this one. The second statement is more scary to me. That is, when my guru said, Swamiji, in one of his lectures, he said, first, initial stages when I was attending his lectures, at that time when he was telling in the class, he said, do you all realize that a madman doesn't know that he is mad? And everyone in the crowd, there's a huge congregation in Chennai, the lecture hall. Everybody said, yeah, correct. And I couldn't go out of the lecture hall. I was sitting there, even after the lecture got over, I was sitting there. And then I told the organizers, I want to speak to Swamiji. Can I? He said, yeah, of course you can go and talk to him. I was surprised. They said, they took me. I went there to him. Swamiji, I think you told this. Did you say that? I wanted to know whether, did you say this or I heard wrongly? He said, yeah, no madman will realize that he is mad. I said, I don't think I am mad. Therefore, there's a very good possibility that I am mad, no? Because that's the rule, right? You would not know if you are mad. I don't think I am mad. Therefore, what? There's a good chance. Now, how can I sleep? I said. Now you destroyed my sleep now. He said, that's the problem, you study Vedanta. Said, who asked you to come to my lectures? He said, amazing subject this is. Remember, there is no two options here when you are pursuing Vedanta. Either you will become a stalwart, a towering personality who would be like a lighthouse spreading light, or you can crack. The choice is yours, right? Those who want to quit can quit right now. You can say, sir, enough of you and your Vedanta, man. I thought you will say something and your nonsense you are talking. You see, so wait there, right? But I tell you, there is another rule, rule number 3, which Ramatirtha says. So I have given what Radhakrishnan said, what Swamiji said, and now what Ramatirtha says. At Bayonet's point, you have to turn to Vedanta, he says. If you are not having this knowledge, you are doomed. You are finished. So, you don't have a choice not to have this knowledge. Some of you may be wondering, Ishwaran, without this knowledge, we all have been living. The point is how that life had been. What quality of life that you have been living with? That is the quick question. Do you live to the quality of life that you are capable of living? It's like, imagine Virat Kohli goes and plays and scores 15 runs and gets out. What do you call that? Will you clap? Huh? Oh, if there was a point where Tendulkar scores anything around 80, we used to scold him. Why? Minimum is a century. He comes out to bat, minimum expected out of him is what? Century. Anything less than that is not allowed. When Barcelona lost the match last week to Munch, what a criticism about Messi. 8 goals to 2 goals. They lost. And what a criticism on him. Why? When Messi is there, how can they afford to lose? No chance. It should not have happened in his presence. Then how much goals he should have scored, sir? He should have scored at least 15 goals. Is expected out of him. Why? That's his potential. Now, do you realize what is a human potential? That's what Vedanta says. See, your potential is so much so, when you are not living up to your potential, the nature will come and poke the Trishul of Shiva. He will come and poke it from behind. He'll say, move. Say, like in Tirupati, they say, no, Jargandi, Jargandi. Like that. Shiva will say, move, man, grow. If you slack, if you become complacent, it comes and attacks. In fact, that's the significance of Chaturbhuja Vishnu. Vishnu you would have seen, with 4 hands. In one hand he would carry the lotus, Padma. Other hand he carries a conch, maze, and a chakra, the sword disc. Sudarshan chakra he carries. This lotus signifies the peace, growth, evolution, the knowledge. It signifies that. The conch represents that inner voice which keeps on telling every one of us, you're not in the right track. You're not in the right track. You're not in the right track. You have to shift. You have to shift. You have to shift. But we don't heed that. We don't heed that voice of conscience. When you don't heed the voice of conscience, you get the gada. Gada is a maze. You get the knocks and shocks of life. Still, if you don't heed, chakra, annihilation. Better luck next time. Now, this is the life of every generation, every human, everywhere in the world. If you have to pursue this, Vedanta is the way. And to study the subject Vedanta, do I have to rely on any authorities? So it says, no. How you should approach Vedanta? Your approach to the subject Vedanta, remember these 2 points, should be exactly like how you would have pursued any subject in the world. Say, for example, you study science, physics. or mathematics, when you pursue that subject, mathematics, what is your attitude towards it? You don't just go by this blind acceptance of whatever is said there has to be correct. No, you take it, but then you question, you reason, you analyze, and then accept or reject. That is why one man said, molecule is the smallest particle, Nobel Prize. Next fellow came, no, 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 molecule can be broken into atoms, but atom cannot be broken, Nobel Prize. Another fellow came and said, no, 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 atoms can be broken into 36 parts. Now, if the second fellow is correct, then the first fellow must be wrong. No, we don't reject. We did not revoke the Nobel Prize given to that man. Why? Remember, this is how science has been developing. How the science has been developing, sir. Einstein says in one of the interviews, the interviewer asked, so your theory of relativity is destroying the principle expounded by Newton. He said, yes. But remember, I am standing on the shoulder of Newton to see beyond Newton. That is what we do. That is what every father does when he takes his child to the celebrations, when he goes to these functions, programs and all that. When they go there, huge congregations are there, so much of mela going on. The child wants to see everything, what is happening. So the child cannot see all that. So what the father does, he takes a child and puts the child on top, his shoulders. Sitting on that shoulder, the child can see beyond what father can see. Now, it's not that to dismiss Newton. It's not that we dismiss Einstein. But at the same time, you don't accept the things just because Einstein accepted that. Now, you come to the spiritual or you come to religion, you blindly accept it. Everybody has accepted this blindly. You may ask me, what is a proof, Ishwaran? Haven't you heard people making statements? I am spiritual, I am not religious. Now you turn around and ask that fellow, what is your understanding about religion? What do you know about religion? He says, what? That and all, don't ask me. What is the difference between spiritual and religion? Spirituality and religion, what is the difference? I don't know about all those things. Same way we go on telling kids, you must concentrate. You must concentrate. You must concentrate. If the child were to turn around and ask you, what is concentration? What happens to you? See, you should not have ego in life. Okay. Don't be egoistic in life. What is ego? Ego is made up of what? Who is saying I should not have ego? Ego is saying ego should not be there. What are we talking? Now, you just have to, probe one question you have to ask. That's all. The whole thing fizzles down. I can go on giving examples. Now, one of my favorite example is this. What do you know about religion? First thing I ask people is this. Do you know religion is a noun or a verb? Is it a noun or is it a verb? Like in the, trucks, they would have written, sound horn. I never understood that. I used to wonder, sound horn. What are they? After a long time, one day, one of my cousin was traveling with me. in the car, we're driving towards, Chennai. I saw a truck, just came out of my mouth. I just, voiced it out. I said, sound horn, sound horn. Then she told me, Anna, sound there means you have to be sounding. It's a verb, it's an action. My understanding of the word sound is only noun. I never understood the sound word can be used as verb also. Now, religion is used by all these masters as verb, not as a noun. You convert it into a noun, and then you say something wrong with it. It's like in English, they say, no, call a dog mad and kill it. If you have to kill a dog, what you do is first thing is you call it mad, and then you can kill it. That's exactly what we are doing. No clue we have about it. But then we go on accepting things. Somebody says something, only requirement is what? The words have to be bigger. That's about it. If the faces are very catchy, you people pick it up. Hinduism is a way of life. Islam is not a way of life, is it? Christianity is not a way of life. Jainism is not a way of life. I'm not saying Hinduism is not a way of life. Now, immediately you take a stand, what? Oh, Hinduism is not a way of life. Now, what is exclusive about Hinduism alone is a way of life, as though all other things are not way of life? Now, we just hear, statements and we take it for granted. Why? Because somebody had said that. Some great personality, some charismatic person comes out and says something. We just accept it. Now, if you have to study Vedanta, remember, don't take anything for granted. Vedanta can be studied only by people who are willing to question and probe. Now, the moment I say question, immediately we have one problem. The problem is what to question. Now, majority don't question. There is a small minority question about the teacher, not the teaching. Now, questioning has to be done with reference to the teachings of the master, not the life of the teacher. What the teacher did, what Krishna did is far more interesting to you than what Krishna taught. What is the teaching of his? What is it that he had provided us? Material. What he gave. That's more important than what all he did. Now you hear the story about Krishna, there is thousands of people sitting. I'm not saying you should not hear the story of them, please, immediately. Now, that inquisitiveness that we have to know whether what he did is right or wrong. So much of analysis being done on whether Yudhishthira played the dice game is right or wrong. Whether Rama killed Vali behind the tree. Is it right or wrong? This is in our side. You go to other side, there are people asking questions that side also. There is a questioning happening whether Christ had ever actually happened or not, or it is a fictitious character, concocted by people. Whether Christ died on the cross or not. Huge analysis. And people spend so much of their energy to know about what is happening in Master's life. I don't know how many of you have read this book, Autobiography of a Yogi. Yogi means the person who has liquidated his personality. Then how can he write an autobiography? First of all, biography itself should not be written about those people. Now, autobiography, what Ramana did, that is why over a period of time, around every spiritual leader, there is a cult getting created. As a cult formation happens. After that, what? No one can afford to question whatever he says, no matter what. Whatever he says has to be accepted by those people. Now, that way, the subject cannot grow. You will not get the benefit. In fact, even your existing faculties will become dull. That's why they say, TV is called as an idiot box. Why is it called an idiot box? You keep watching the TV, you become an idiot. You keep looking at TV all the time, you become an idiot. That's why it is called an idiot box. I say the fellow who is watching is an idiot. But we put it on that. Is what in English we call as transfer epithet. Instead of calling me idiot, I put the blame on that TV. Why? It's here. It's not there, please. Now, how that whole development is happening, how this is growing, think carefully. You have to question. But then, in questioning, you should learn to decipher the difference between the charming personality of the master, brilliance of his life, and his teaching. They are not the same because of two reasons. Reason number one, to speak a language is one thing. To teach that language is quite another thing. To be a good salesman is one thing. To be a good sales manager is quite another. It's not the same. Now, I can sell. Any customer comes, I know how to work with the customer, how to service the customer. I know how to sell. Now, the company promotes me and makes me the branch manager or the shop manager. Now, what I have to do, sir? I don't deal with the customers. Now, I have to train the 7 fellows, the 7 salesmen. Those 7 fellows have to sell. Now, to teach the principles of selling to another person and make him is a different ball game. To speak a language is one thing, including your mother tongue. Remember, even your mother tongue also. How many of you know the grammar of your own mother tongue? I'm not talking about English. English is a foreign language. That's not our language at all. So even if I speak wrong, the people ask me, you are speaking all broken language, Ishwar, and why are you killing that? I said, that's what those fellows did, 200 years to my country. Now I can't kill them now. At least I can afford to kill their language. Destroy the language, I said. Grammar is different. Unless you are an expert in that grammar and you should have that communication skills, only then you can teach that language. It's quite another to speak language flawless. You can speak that language. I don't think you are all making any mistakes, at least in your mother tongue. You speak those words. You speak your construction of the sentences. Everything is perfect. But do you know grammar? We don't know that. They are two different things. Number one. Number two is when the teacher is teaching, when this master is speaking, he is speaking according to the level of the student, receptacle. That is why we request you people to switch on your video. You see, why we say keep your videos on? Not that I want to look at you, please. You see, only then there is a chance of knowing who's there. Depending on that, material will come. That's why to every audience, Christ speaks 3 different languages. People get totally confused. To one group of people, Christ says, I am a messenger of the Father in heaven. outside. He goes to the temple. Inside the temple, he says to the people who are there in the temple, he claims that I am the only begotten son of the Father in heaven. Then his disciples ask him. There he says, when he's talking to his disciples, there he says, the Father and Son are one and the same. Okay. Either you say Father and Son one and same, or you say you are Son, he is Father, or you say you have got nothing to do with him, you are just a postman. He is giving messages, I am giving you the message. That's all. I am just a messiah. That's it. I am giving the message from him. Courier boy. No connection. Now, to one group of people, he says, I have no connection to God. Another group of people, he says, I am his son. Another group of people, he says, you come to heaven, you know what you will see? You will have a heart attack. What, sir? I will be sitting there as the Father in heaven. Yes. Double action or what? Why? It's got nothing to do with Christ, please. It depends on the audience. Why he speaks the different things. Now you see, there are two texts ascribed to Krishna. Same Krishna. When he is speaking to Arjuna, one language. Same Krishna, he speaks to Uddhava, another language. To Arjuna, he is going on saying, you got to fight. Perhaps in the world history, no spiritual master would have ever, you will find, who spoke for war. The only spiritual man. If at all people ask me, what is so unique about Krishna? I say this is unique about him. Because no spiritual giant would dare to speak for war. In fact, Arjuna is the one who says no war. He is speaking for non-violence. Krishna is the one who says fight, man. Finish off. The whole block you finish, he says. Now, how can you be so violent here? Same Krishna, you go to Uddhava Gita and see, you will not believe it's the same man he spoke here. You see, why? Because the student is different. Remember, Arjuna is different. Uddhava is different. Both are Krishna's friends. Arjuna is also a very good friend of Krishna. Uddhava also a very good friend of Krishna. But the personality of Uddhava is totally different from the personality of Arjuna. Remember, therefore, the teachings of the master is not dependent on the master. It is dependent on the audience. But when the master lives his life, he lives his life from the pedestal of his wisdom. From wisdom, he lives his life. But teachings are not coming from his wisdom, please. Remember this. Any master, no master whomsoever you will have in the world can give his wisdom to you. When his wisdom comes to you, it comes to you only as knowledge. It will not come to you as wisdom. It comes to you as information. The wisdom of Buddha is information to you, isn't it? And Buddha says, imagine one man. It's supposed to be, Buddha was teaching for about 80 years or so after he got enlightened. At the age of 32, he got enlightened. And he was teaching for over 60 years. 80, he passed away. 83 or 84, he passed away, they say. About 60 years, he has been teaching. For 60 years, imagine one man goes on saying, life is painful. 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 What should have happened to him mentally? Ask any psychiatrist. Isn't it a negative thought? Is it a positive thinking or negative thinking? Now imagine you are constantly saying life is painful. Life is painful. Not only for me, for everybody in the world. Life is full of pain. Life is full of pain. Life is full of pain. But Buddha is such an epitome of peace. How is it that a man who constantly goes on saying negative about life, he lives life very positively, so peaceful? His statue gives you peace here. Forget about him. His statue is giving you people peace in the world today, even today. It inspiring people. You sit in front of Buddha statue, you feel that peace dawning on you. You can imagine how much peace he must have had. But for 60 years, what he was teaching to everybody? Every day he was giving lecture like me. And every lecture of him is what, sir? Life is painful, life is painful, life is painful. How agitated his life must have been then. He should have gone into depression. He did not get into depression. Why? When he said life is painful, and you repeat that life is painful, it's an information. That's what we call as borrowed knowledge. All the knowledge that you are carrying, your values, your ethics, your spiritual knowledge, everything is borrowed. It's not yours. Why? Any master, when he speaks, he doesn't give his wisdom, he gives his knowledge. But when he lives his life, he doesn't live his life with knowledge. He lives his life with wisdom. Same is the rule for you also. You also don't live life with your knowledge. You also live your life with your wisdom. Only difference is what? In our case, knowledge is huge. Wisdom we have to search. Must be somewhere it is. I have to find out. It's like trying to figure out a needle in a bundle of, stack of hay. There you have to search. That's how our wisdom is. But his wisdom is so vast. He would live his life so comfortably. He would encounter a situation with such ease. But his teaching will not carry that. Why is that? Teaching is dependent on the receptacle. 2, the rule for teaching is totally different from living your life. Therefore, as a student, when you are going to start your pursuit of the subject, your obligation is what, sir? You are not supposed to be probing into the teacher's life. What are you supposed to do, sir? Teaching you probe. That's why a student is expected to have a weird combination. One side with reference to the teacher, total surrender. With reference to teaching, a critical analyst. You have to be critical with reference to the teaching. With reference to the teacher, what is it, sir? Sharanagati. You are correct, sir. Whatever you are doing is right. That's all. Whatever Krishna says is correct. That's why, they say in Mahabharata, after this war, everything is over, these people go to heaven, When the Pandavas go to heaven, they say Yudhishthira had to go to heaven. Stopover station is hell. So he has to stop in hell for a few minutes and then go to heaven. And Yudhishthira got so annoyed. He said, hey, I am Dharmaraja. Okay. Now, why should I go to hell? Why can't I go have a direct flight? Direct flight to heaven. No, it's a stopover. The stopover here and change the flight and then go. Say, why, man? Why not direct flight? They said, no, you made a mistake in your life. and people interpret it beautifully. People say, oh no, he lied. I suppose most of you are all familiar with the story, right? If you're not familiar, then I have to tell the whole story. He lied, in the war, that Ashwatthama was killed when he was not killed. Okay, he lied. Factually, he didn't lie. That's not the way in Vyasa Bharata comes. Right? Other versions, I don't know what is it. In Vyasa, when Vyasa wrote that Mahabharata, in that original text, it is not like that. Then why he has to go? A man interprets beautifully. He says, that's not the reason for him to go to hell. You know why? Before that instant, to kill Drona, Krishna called these people and told Krishna, that this is the plan. When Krishna is giving instruction, you do this. Yudhishthira started arguing with Krishna, what? I will not do such things. You are only Dharma Raja. He is Dharma embodiment. He is Dharma itself. You are only king. Right? He is Dharma. When he says, you are supposed to do what? Just do it. When he is giving you instruction, just do it. See? This is how you have to deal with. When you go to a teacher, you always find two things in them. In any textbook, when you read any scripture in the world, you read, there are two things in that. One, instructions. Two, teaching. Principles are explained. Whenever the teacher is explaining a principle, be critical. Whenever he is giving instructions, blindly do it. In any spiritual textbook, when you are reading, right, hardly you will find in Vedanta Treatise, what is there in Vedanta Treatise, sir? In Vedanta Treatise, hardly you will find one or two instructions. You'll slip in, that's all. That is why we take this book, to study. To study what sort of a book you should take. Book that carries more of teaching, explaining the principles and the rules and the laws. Expounding that is what you should be paying attention to. Not to the instruction manuals, where do this, don't do this. Wherever you find there is a direct instructions given, just take it. Don't analyze. Why are you asking me to do it? It's like a child asking, why are you telling me? Tell him also no. Like in our house, we always have that fight. Whenever my mother says something, immediately I will argue with her, saying, why are you telling me? Tell my brother also no. He didn't do any mistake. You only did no. He'll say, no, nothing doing. If you belt, you got to belt both. He didn't do any mistake here. Nothing matters. And he also gets two. That fellow also will get two. And he will not keep quiet. He will say immediately point to our sister. So anytime belting means all three will get. What is this? This is a kiddish way of functioning, you see. But as a matured seekers, as a matured students of philosophy, what you are supposed to do, sir, says your approach to the subject should be that of a matured one, like a person who is pursuing science or mathematics. Now, we have seen what Vedanta does. We have seen what we approach. How Vedanta comes to us, how we go to it. How Vedanta comes to us, sir, it takes two roles. One, doctor, physician, another one, trainer. It takes two roles. Same way, as a student, we also should go to Vedanta depending on this particular positioning that we are going to take. The position is this. I'm going to be approaching the subject in a spirit of inquiry with open mind. When I say open mind, what I mean is, those who are new, this is my standard instruction to my daughter. when she was small, not now, when she was small. Now, if I give any instruction, that's all. I get more, you know, than, I'm giving her. Boomerangs, no? Law of karma works, what you give, you get back. Like that. When she was small, she has to be introduced, new dishes, new tastes and things. So when we used to give her, a little sour or little bitter and things like that, they'll immediately reject. I used to tell her, see, when you are eating something, remember, don't take a decision that you are going to consume it in the first instance itself. Don't decide that. Have that dish, have that item at least 4 times. 4 times you eat. Not that, for master I'm talking about. You eat today, after about 10-15 days, mom may prepare again. That same dish will come. You have that. Little, have little, have little, have little. After having 4 times or so, you form your opinion whether you would like to have it or not. Same way, what I request or my, appeal to you people also the same rule, the rule of 4. Don't decide that you are going to be studying Vedanta or Vedanta is not, or at least Ishwaran's class of Vedanta is not, whatever way you decide. Okay. Don't come to conclusions for or against from today's session itself, please. Right. At least pursue 4 classes. It's worth. You just have to invest 4 hours of your life. After 4 classes, you arrive at a conclusion whether this class is worth for me to pursue or not. Don't jump to conclusion that this is fantastic, or don't jump to conclusion that I'm not able to relate to it. You see, many times the subject will not be palatable. Any subtler things are not palatable. Remember, you see, classical music. I give this example of classical music. If you want to torture somebody, if you have someone in your life who you want to really put him in real trouble and he should not know that, take him to a Carnatic music, buy a ticket, take him to a Carnatic music session and make him sit. And I remember my father used to take us, in Chennai, Mylapore, that Kabalishwara temple, after that year festival, they have the chariot festival, they'll have one Vidayatri Vida. 10 days of music festival will start. And that music program will start only around 9:30, 10 o'clock the night. And he would take us, and this man, particularly this guy, there's a fellow called Madurai Somo. I can never forget him. Dangerous guy. Because he will sing till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock long, morning. And next day we have to go to school. You see, our problem is, the father would say, wake up, wake up, wake up. My God, it is such a tension, for us. Half the time I'll be sleeping in the, music concert, and that guy will, he sings so loud, open voice, you can't sleep also. Mandal in Srinivas was not like that. It's very comfortable, you can sleep. This Madurai song was not like that. Such a torture, I used to have. It took about 1.5 years or so for us to get, to some hang of the feel of what is that classical music is. Now, to listen to our, movie songs, there's no big deal, you just have to hear that. You just have to hear once. But the problem, what? The same song you hear today, remember Britney Spears? Oops, I did it again. Huh? Dancing in the Rain. This fellow, Rennie Martin, Martin, that fellow. What a hit that was then, Recently, I'm hearing that song. I said, change it. Boring. Such a hit it was then. But now the same song looks so boring, in fact. You can't appreciate. You see, there is a difference. Remember, there are certain pleasures of life which converges. There are certain pleasures of life which enlarges. You know, there is a converging nature of certain things, and there is enlarging nature of certain things. And initially, it will work in an arithmetic progression. Over a period of time, it's geometric progression. It's exactly like our mutual fund. uh, Most of it may not work actually, okay, but that's what the equation they say. What is it? A systematic investment plan. What do you have to do? Every month 2000 rupees, keep investing, man. That's all. Then what will happen? For the first 15 years nothing will be there. You see, your FD would have produced more than that, calculation wise, right? Of course, understand the market and all those things, but in terms of paperwork I'm saying. But last 2 years you keep that same amount there, suddenly it becomes double. How is it, sir? It's a compound interest, they say. See, like that. There are certain pleasures of life, and there are certain pleasures of life like this. The pursuit and the study of Vedanta is coming into the second category, classical category. All classical categories will take time. You will not get the pleasure initially. It will look torturous. You see, look like, my God, it's like, 1 hour class is over. Appa, finish, man. You may say, thank God you realize the time. You say, but there are some of you may say, my God, it's like you just started, your already class is over. It's like, you see, depending upon how long you have been pursuing it. If you have been used to the subject, used to this pursuit, it enlarges. It just so musical it is. The subject, these ideas, the pleasure of ideas is something outstanding. But you have to wait, remember. So my recommendation is the principle of four rounds. I say 4 sessions. Invest, and then you take a call whether you want to continue or you don't want to continue. But don't decide based on 1 session, please, or even 2. Wait. Let's just move a little, and then you would be able to understand. Okay. Now coming to certain specific instruction. Recommendation is this. I highly recommend this to all of you who are interested to pursue the subject. I recommend you to buy the book and keep it with you. This Vedanta Treatise, this book, it's available in the in the site. You can go to this vedantaworld.org, or you can place the order of the book and keep the book with you, right? And how we will be proceeding, I will explain as we go along in the class. Okay. So today I have given only a basic idea about how Vedanta comes to us, how we are supposed to go to Vedanta, and what is a specific thing that we need to do with reference to this class. This is all we have seen. I have not yet explained what is Vedanta. Okay. I meant to explain what is Vedanta. We'll see that in the next class. Hari Om. Thank you.